you get good people and culture magically happens. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. You could have somebody who flounders, who struggles in one environment, you put them in a different environment, they flourish, right? They do great. There's so much that's been said and published about culture, and frankly, I think that most of it is kind of missing the point. It's close, but it's not exactly there. And in fact, probably 5 or 6 years ago, I wrote a book called The Culture Blueprint, did a course on it because I felt so strongly about that. See, I think that in a lot of environments, people will talk about culture simply being getting the right people on the bus. You get good people and culture magically happens. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. I mean, we've seen this in the sports world many, many times over. You could have somebody who flounders, who struggles in one environment, you put them in a different environment, they flourish, right? They do great. Or you may take a coach and bring them to a new team, right? The organization, the university, whoever it is, they move on from a coach, they bring in a new coach, and that new coach facilitates an environment that allows the team to improve substantially. Or maybe the opposite happens. Maybe a coach moves on, they bring in another coach, and the team kind of plummets. And business is the same way. You know, I've seen plenty of people who were really, really good that in one environment just kind of watch the clock and almost feel like they had one foot out the door in another. And so it's not just talent. It is not just, hey, we get good people on the bus, talented people on the bus, good things happen. It takes more than that. You know, and I think I really started to recognize this early on, or maybe, I guess, midway through my college coaching career. When I took over the program that I led, we weren't very good. We were pretty average. We won a couple games more than we lost the first year. Did a little bit better than that the second year. And it was a lot of just grit and hustle. And, you know, those guys weren't very talented, but they worked hard and they were really competitive. But as we started to get better, and by the third year, we were really successful, nationally ranked, I think second in the country in hitting, a number of things that were moving in the right direction. You could tell when we'd bring guys in that maybe they were transfers from a junior college or from another university, and they had just been kind of okay at that other place. They would become part of our program, and they would play better than they'd ever played, right? I don't necessarily know that you could say they maximized their potential, but they were certainly getting more from their potential than they had previously. And I've seen that so many times over in the business world, where you get somebody in a different environment where everybody else around them, you know, they make each other better. I've seen it with some of the kids that I've had the opportunity to coach in summer baseball just over the last few years, where because the environment was a positive one for them, they would play better, they would perform better, they would have more confidence, they would maybe work a little bit harder because that was the environment that they were in. They had people around them who were picking them up and helping the negative stuff maybe not snowball on them as much. And the business world's the same way. I mean, you've got people who believe in you, who make you successful. You're in an environment where you buy into the vision, where the environment is structured in a way that whatever your role is, not only do you know what being great at that role looks like, but you're provided the systems and the tools and the supports you need to be great at that role. Versus kind of just being thrown to the wolves and saying good luck and not really knowing what success in your role even looks like. So yeah, it's more than, you know, it's more than just a collection of talent in any environment that you're in. It is really, I think it starts at the top, right? I think it starts with leadership and the vision that not only the leader has, but that they convey to everybody else, that they convey to the entire team. And then I think there has to be some sort of alignment of values. People have to buy into and execute on the values of the organization. And if they don't, there's always going to be this friction. Then we need to talk about, okay, what are the roles, the responsibilities? How does somebody in each particular seat, if you will, kind of move the business towards being successful, or move the team towards being successful? And what's great is I think that in some environments, this is really clear, right? Like, you know what your job is. And ideally, you know what being great at your job looks like. So then you've got something to aspire to, something to measure yourself against. And then once you know what that is, I think it's the organization's job to help create an environment with systems that allow you to meet that standard pretty consistently, with the support and the coaching to execute those systems and any tools that you need to execute those systems. And then with that, now we get the right people. Now the people fit in. Is this the type of person that can execute at this level? Is this a person who buys into the vision, who has some alignment with the values? And then we've got to coach those people up and communicate with them every day. I think that's the difference between a collection of talent and a really good team. And I think that you can kind of audit whatever your organization looks like and say, okay, are we doing this? Are we checking all these boxes? Or are we missing the mark on some of this? Because if you're not where you want to be, odds are one of those areas we're probably falling a little bit short. But man, the payoff is big. It is the difference between just getting a bunch of people who maybe have potential and actually getting the performance you're looking for.